trust in the Lord, your nights will turn to day. Just remember, it will get better.
Definitely will get better. When you hear that sound on any given morning, a Monday or a Thursday, you know it is time for your mid-morning program, Final Decision. It is a wet morning, and I hope that everybody is okay. Listeners, good morning, welcome. Please try to stay as safe as possible. We know how things can be when it rains, especially when it rains consistently in Jamaica and different parts of Jamaica. So we just pray that everyone will be okay and we do not have any unfortunate incidents today in this disturbed sky. Mr. Green.
Good morning, Mr. Maitland.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, man. So let's hope that our listeners take heed and stay dry.
Yes.
And take time on the road.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. Do not speed. Leave out on time so you can reach your destination on time.
And for those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Mark Maitland from the Garden of Paradise Funeral Home.
And I am Errol Green from Exodus Funeral Home.
And the program is Final Decision. It is aired every Monday and Thursday here on Omega KLAS 89.9 FM. We do thank you so very much for joining us today. Today we'll be talking a little bit more about the whole situation in relation to death and having the cause of death.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Green, there's something
big topic. That's big topic.
There's a bigger part of the topic that we're gonna touch on this morning, which most persons really are not familiar with and don't even know about until or unless they have it to do with that or have to really encounter with that aspect of the process in relation to that. We'll talk about that a little bit more in our program, but as an introductory phase to the program, Mr. Green, just for the listeners to understand that when a person dies, the primary thing for any agency or any agent or anyone to do is to find the cause of death.
Yes, sir.
We know that in instances where the person was seen a medical practitioner, maybe in a hospital or private doctor, then the medical cause of death can be prepared. Sooner than others. But there are situations where the cause of death is delayed because you have to go the route of autopsy. Now, Mr. Green, I know there are some persons who, from time to time, when this is to be done, they wonder if the process cannot be simpler and easier.
Yeah, Mr. Maitland, I'm very happy that we'll be touching on this topic today because some people tell you, point blank, that their loved one they don't want to be cut. Right, because when they're afraid of the knife and it was not their desire to be operated at any given time.
Right.
But it's not about what you desire or what you like or dislike. As Mr. Maitland will always tell you that when you die, the government have more interest in you than when he was alive.
And the fact is, it must be ascertained as to what causes your death.
That is very important.
That is very important. Now, I know that most of us, those of us who have had to interact with the whole process or having to do with the whole process of autopsy, for example, when somebody dies homicide or sometimes even sudden deaths or natural causes, there might be a request for an autopsy, and this is where a pathologist comes into play. And of course, a pathologist is a medically trained individual in this field, and nobody else. You have to be medically trained to do an autopsy, and a pathologist would come into play. And so we are familiar with the role and the work of the pathologist and how that works. But there are situations, Mr. Green, that you have to go a step farther than just the pathologist, just the autopsy, and you need to go a step or two farther in order to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the real cause and mode of death. So it's not just the cause of death, but also the mode of death. And cause of death is different from mode of death. We often try to blanket everything, and I know for the layman we blanket everything to say, all right, so for example, somebody got shot. The cause of death It's gunshot.
It's gunshot.
But that is not necessarily the mode of death.
And sometimes a family member might say, why do an autopsy?
Right.
When the man get 5 gunshot.
Right. You already know say it's 5 gunshot.
It's 5 gunshot.
But there are cases where having done the autopsy, it is proven that yes, the person got gunshot, but it wasn't really the gunshot. That was the mode of death.
The mode of death.
But it could be, for example, a heart attack. So having heard the first shot, the sound
Right.
frightened the
So
person.
the gunshot was not fatal.
Right. So the sound frightened the person, and the person actually died from heart attack, having heard the gunshot and the fright. And the manner of death, rather, the manner of death is heart attack caused by gunshot, or asphyxia caused by, blunt force trauma caused by gunshot.
I even use for an accident as an example.
I'm going to come to the accident in a little while, because the accident is really going to form the basis of what we really want to talk about today. Right. So I was just touching on this part because, we are more familiar with the sudden deaths and with the homicides, these things. But then know, as I was saying earlier, that there are times when you have to go a step farther than just the autopsy. And most persons are not familiar with the term coroner, coroner's court, coroner's inquest, coroner's report. The whole matter of coroner, Mr. Green, comes up with suicides and motor vehicle accidents. So it's not as straightforward as with the autopsy of a person from a homicide, where the person dies, the person was killed, and the investigating officer on the case will liaise with the forensic department, and then after they have determined the date for the autopsy, the family member is informed, and then on the day of the autopsy, the family member goes, they identify their loved one, the examination is done by the pathologist, and the medical cause of death is prepared then and there, and then therewith the burial order is also prepared on spot for the most part, and you get that. In situations of accident or suicide, it is not as straightforward as that. So yes, the investigating officer will liaise with the forensic department, and you will definitely get a date for the autopsy. However, on the day of autopsy, you won't necessarily get the burial order, and persons will ask why. Now, we're going to talk about the why. We're going to talk about the why when we come back from the break. We're going to talk about all right, so we have a little bit more time, so we can talk about the why. So what you find, Mr. Green, in situations where you have, for example, accidents or suicide, the matter at that time has to be investigated somewhere. So what you find, for example, let me use a motor vehicle accident there, then,
right,
as an example. You know that the investigators have to go to the accident scene, and they do what we call sketching of the whole area again of the accident, and they have to prepare a report. Now, why all of this? The fact is, if the matter does end up in court, you want to ensure that you have everything documented and every case matter being able to be presented in a way that does not compromise the investigation nor compromise a decision. In most motor vehicle accidents, it will come down to a court situation, especially where insurance is involved. So even in situations where we would think things are straightforward and the person accepts liability, even so, the whole matter of investigating and the process, Mr. Green, listeners, has to go through. So on the day when you go for the autopsy, yes, they will liaise with the family member, and they will say what the cause of death is purported to be. However, on that day, you will not get the burial order. You have to go through the coroner's court of that particular parish to get the burial order. So if the accident happened in St. Mary or Portland, you have to go to the coroner's court of that parish in order to get the burial order. Now, in order for the burial order to be prepared, the investigating officer must submit his preliminary reports to the coroner, and also the report from the pathologist must also be given to the coroner or to the coroner's to the coroner's court. Now, upon receiving these documents, then now they will begin to they'll commence the process of preparing the burial order. Now we're gonna go to a break, and after the break, now I come back and I walk you through the whole process of how the coroner gets involved, what the coroner is, what they do.
Can I advise our listeners to don't change that dial? Because Mr. Maitland have some real touching top information, things that you want to know. Thank you.
Your nights will turn to day. Just remember, it will get better.
The time brought to you by the Manchester Co-op Credit Union 1977 Limited Property Loan, telephone 876-962-0401 is 11:45.
I feel for something nice to eat today. What should I get? Yes, that's it. Royal Court Restaurant, where the food is great at affordable prices with more things on the menu than you can imagine. There is something on the menu for everyone, and you can dine in or take it home to enjoy in the comfort of your own space. Royal Court Restaurant, 67 Red Hills Road, open 11:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, and 11:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Call in your takeaway orders at 876-969-1972.
It will get better. It will get better.
Nobody likes to talk about losing a loved one, let alone planning their funeral.
But it is better to be prepared than to be caught off guard. So let us help you to prepare for the inevitable day. Tune into Final Decision every Monday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. to 12 noon on Omega Radio and get all the information you need, including information about assistance that you may get or information that is there for you. I'm talking about financial assistance.
Final Decision is brought to you by Garden of Paradise Funeral Home and Exodus Funeral Home.
Won't last forever. Won't last forever.
Prostate cancer tips courtesy of Omega KLAS. Limit fat intake. Animal and saturated fats have been linked to a higher risk of prostate cancer. Where possible, replace animal fats with plant-based fats such as butter for oil, candy for fruits, or packaged foods for fresh vegetables.
Spectrum Insurance Brokers pride themselves in being professionals in the field of insurance broking, claim settlement, and risk management services for over 35 years. We offer a wide range of insurance services including motor, property, liability, accident, life, and international health for individuals and companies at competitive rates. Call 926-3572 or visit 7.5 Haining Road, Kingston 5 or shop number 3, James Plaza, Mandeville. Call 625-6804 or visit online spectrumjamaica.com. Spectrum Insurance Brokers, setting the industry standards.
The 2023 ISSA schoolboy football season promises to be another cracker. Will Clarendon College retain their DaCosta Cup title? Will Jamaica College retain their Manning Cup title? There are 6 cups up for grabs. Now, when the dust settles, who will reign supreme in the 2023 ISSA schoolboy season? Stay locked into your number one sports station, KLAS FM 89, for live coverage of games including all quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. Live coverage of the ISSA 2023 schoolboy football is sponsored by Burger King Double Deal. Any two you pick is a win-win. Popeyes. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Good food a keep. Access to information unit. Reigniting a nation for greatness. And KFC. Finger licking good.
Just remember, it will get better.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to the program. Today we are talking about coroner, the coroner's court, and the role of the coroner in certain deaths. Now, let me make the distinction between the coroner and the pathologist. At the beginning of the program, I told you that the pathologist is a medically trained individual, and this medically trained individual is the only person that can do an autopsy report, that can do a post-mortem report and an autopsy. Now, the coroner on the other hand is totally different. Now, depending on the jurisdiction or the law, the coroner's duty, the coroner may be a trained person, or as in a medically trained person, or the coroner can be somebody who is not medically trained. So it can be somebody who is appointed by the government through the Coroner's Act of that, or the legislation of that particular country. So the coroner can either be trained or just somebody who oversees the process to have these reports done. So the coroner is really a public official, either appointed by the government of the day or elected, and it happens in different geographical location. Now, the role of the coroner is to really help to determine the cause and the manner of death in an individual. Now, what the coroner really wants to have out there in the light: one, who is the deceased? By what means did the person die? Where did the person die? And when? Now, for this to happen, as I was using the example of the motor vehicle accident earlier, Mr. Green.
Yes, sir.
The reports must come in to the coroner's court, and every parish in Jamaica has a coroner's court. And again, for the most part, the deaths that you will see referred to the coroner's court are mostly suicides and motor vehicle accidents. So things with these are not as straightforward as what happened with the homicides. So suicide and motor vehicle accident. And just be prepared, friends. This process takes longer than the other processes.
Mr. Maitland, I am learning something new. Look, I don't really want to interrupt you, though, right? Because you are teaching. I see you're in that mood for teaching. But Mr. Maitland, how long that report take to prepare the burial order in that case?
All right.
Because sometimes I think I overlook that, Mr. Maitland.
All right. So we know that one of the main complaints of individuals at the time of death is that the process takes long and the burial order, they needed to move on with the business, so on and so forth. But
in regular cases, it's the same day.
Sometimes, right?
In most times.
In most cases, we have an autopsy.
You get the same day you get the burial order, so you can go ahead and make your plans.
Right. So there are, for example, so now the situations where the coroner is brought into play, accidents, suicide for the most part, and I'm talking about Jamaica, and instances where even after an autopsy was done, a clear cause of death cannot be identified. This happens most of the times with decomposing or decomposed bodies, or there are some times when you have sudden deaths where these happen. So, for example, the person might be suspected of succumbing to heart attack, and also it is felt that the heart attack was induced probably by medication. So like, for example, these are situations where it is hard for you to determine what really the cause of death is, and so it will be referred to the coroner's court. And when it comes to the coroner's court, now, Mr. Green, all evidences are put forward. And also, the coroner's court is like a semi-court, like a mini-court, So witnesses are called in to testify because you have to give an account of what you know. And then now, based on the information, both from the pathologist, from the police report, from the witness or witnesses, then a determination can be made as to what we can say the cause of death is. So, again, based on what is presented to you via the reports, a determination is made as to what really the cause of death is. And the coroner's court in each parish, let me go back to the accident. The coroner's court in each parish is where the application goes through. And so the reports go there from the police, from the pathologist, and eyewitnesses, etc., goes there. Then now, to aid the process, the coroner's office will recommend that a burial order be issued. So you get the burial order, and again, this burial order in these situations can only be issued through the coroner's court. So you can't go to RGD.
Not from RGD.
You can't go to the police for it. It has to be issued through the coroner's court. And then you use this burial order to do whatever business you want to do, because you don't want to keep the deceased indefinitely on ice or in a funeral home. And so you use this now to get the process completed. When the process is completed, just as with regular funerals, the person who does the committal will sign the burial order. Now, after the burial order is signed, Mr. Green, listeners, you cannot take this burial order to the RGD to register the death in order to get a death certificate. No.
Because in this case, the death certificate is going to take a lengthy time.
And it has to go through the coroner's
court.
Through the coroner's court. So whenever a death is under the investigation of a coroner's court, the whole process must go through the coroner's court from beginning to end. And all relevant documents can only be issued through the instruction of the coroner. And of course, the coroner is the person.
And these are vital information. Very vital information. And I hope and trust that other funeral directors have tuned in this morning to listen to this program. Because from time to time, Mr. Maitland, I'm happy for this. Because from time to time, I have clients who needed these supportive documents.
Right.
Especially when they have some overseas situation dealing with.
Right.
And sometimes I wonder why it takes so long.
Right. And sometimes we also, as funeral directors, get impatient with the process. Because, of course, you want to get the business on and you want to help the individuals to go through the process of grieving. And so you also get impatient. But it is very important, Mr. Green, that we have the information.
Right. Readily to hand out to our clients.
Right. So that when our clients become agitated, nervous, we can calm them by saying, listen, this is the natural process. This is what you have to do. And also, in addition to helping to guide them, we can help them go through the process and make it easier by helping them to liaise with for example, the investigating officers, the forensic department, the different individuals at different levels. So it makes the process a little bit easier in that you help them to understand what is going on, and you bring, some similar, because the fact is, sometimes person will feel that there's some sabotage attached to what is going on, when really it's not sabotage.
It's a process.
It's a process.
It's a process.
And the process having to do with the coroner's court or this phase of everything is a lengthy one. There's no circumventing. There's no going around it. It's something that has to go through, and everything has to be done. And again, the reason for this, at any given time or any given situation, a particular death may end up in the courts. If it does end up in the courts, you have to ensure that all relevant documentation and information are submitted, and not only submitted, but they are at a place that they can be accessed in order for things to flow smoothly. And let me reiterate, in most cases having to do with accidents, there are times when they do end up in court. And so every I's after that, every T's after cross. And yes, much to the detriment of our patients, the thing might take long. But at the end of the day, it is to ensure that when you have a resolution, it is final. Again, you'd want a situation where your loved one is buried, and then down the road is a situation that you have to exhume the body, right? Just because you want to satisfy the courts and you want to ensure that there was nothing untoward or there was nothing that was overlooked. And so, yes, the process seems to take a little bit longer than regular on the surface. On the surface.
Just understand the nature of that. and things that need to be done so you can bring proper closure.
Right. So I know, listeners, the coroner's aspect of things is not one that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it's not one that we are familiar with. And so for that matter, we had to take the time this morning to kind of walk you through that, because persons have had the experience, persons are still having the experience of having to deal with the coroner's court, and we wonder, first question, for example, when the police says it has to go to the coroner's court, what is a coroner's court?
Right.
Why we need to go there?
Yeah, and Mr. Maitland, it's a very interesting topic you bring up this morning, especially when we're having so much motor vehicle accident now.
Exactly.
And motorists, you know what I mean? A lot of accident is taking place now in our little island. So, it's good to, bring this thing to light so our listeners can understand, what to expect when they are going through this situation.
Exactly. Listeners, I do hope that the program this morning was one that you were able to gain some level of information and education from. And of course, our reason for being here is to not only make the burden a little bit lighter when you have a death, but also to inform you as to the things that may happen, the things that will happen, and how to navigate and go around these things when they do happen, and to help you get a better understanding of how the process works in Jamaica in relation to death, funeralization, and final disposition.
What to do when you don't know what to do? Join Mark Maitland and Errol Green on a Monday
and on a Thursday at 11:30.
Final decision. And you will learn more about how it happened in the funeral industry.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your listenership. We look forward to having you on another program.
And if you trust in the Lord, your nights will turn to day. Just remember, it will get better.
Make Excel Auto Parts your first stop for all your automotive parts and accessories for Toyota, Nissan, Honda, and other vehicles. Tires also available. Located at 95.5 Hagley Park Road, Kingston. Call 426-1769. The time by Excel Auto Parts, your auto parts hub, is
12 o'clock.